Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you all for being here. Those of you that are here, those watching online, welcome. I'd like to welcome Miss Trustee Sophia Benya back to the fold. It's great to have you back.
Great to be back.
And we are excited. We have our full board here for our first budget workshop. So I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order at 5:31. There are no public comments, so we'll just jump right into it. The discussion of the 2026-27 budget. Dr. Gutierrez.
Yes. TA and Board Policy CE local requires districts to prepare a budget for the anticipated expenditures and revenues before June 19th and approved by the Board by June 30th. Ms. Lorena Garcia, our Deputy Superintendent for Business and Operations, will present the first budget workshop for the 26-27 budget year, and we'll go over an overview of the previous budget in 24-25, our current budget in 25-26, as well as a budget outlook and planning for the 26-27 school year, which is coming up. So, Ms. Garcia?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. Today, we're going to go over our budget, where we stand today. We're going to summarize that. We're going to provide a history of the current budget that got approved, how we ended the year, and we're also going to look at the future. So this is a timeline of the upcoming workshops. And as you can see right now, we're with laying the foundation. And workshop number 2, we're going to talk about staff and compensation. And then number 3, we're going to do a deep dive into benefits and those costs associated with that. Workshop 4, we are going to go back again to compensation, since that's such a big topic. And then we're planning on June 16th for that to be the final budget workshop, but if there's a need to, we can add additional workshops. June 23rd would be the adoption of the budget. So the guiding principles, of course, we always want to make sure that we have plenty of resources to support the instructional core and the programs necessary for the district. We also want to make sure that we prioritize staffing, and that we provide a good competitive compensation package so that we can attract and retain high-quality staff. We want to also remain in the black on our health insurance fund and make sure that we have affordable plans for our employees. And then if we have to use fund balance, we want to make sure that we're strategic and responsible in how we do that. The board oversees the general fund, and the general fund is composed of these 3 components. It's the general fund, which is your 1XX, primarily your 199, but there's others in that category. They are for the day-to-day operation, instruction, and core district activities. In the general fund is also the debt service fund. The debt service is what's used to pay for our bonded indebtedness. And then we also currently have a capital projects fund, which is the maintenance tax note from 2020. We should be done by the end of this year with those funds, so I don't foresee us having to bring that one back. There are other governmental funds that the district utilizes for our instructional resources, supportive instruction. These do not come to the board. And so some examples of that are the 200 to 379 series. And these are like, for example, your Title I, your CTE state funds, your IDEA B for special education. And then we have the 380 to 429. And those are state-funded programs. Some examples of that are the IB incentives, instructional materials, which is what we use to buy our textbooks, and then our state-funded special revenues. In addition to that, we have the 431 to 459, which is used for the regional day school for the deaf, shared service arrangements. And then the 461 to 499, that one we use to categorize the campus activity funds. So none of these come to the board for approval, but they are at the disposition of the district for those restricted purposes. Now moving on to last year's budget. We want to remind you all that last year, as of June 30th, we did close out the year on our fund balance with $152 million in total fund balance. 106 of that was unassigned fund balance, which equates to 152 days of operation. We did increase the fund balance by 12.7 million from prior year. And this is a chart that displays that information. It shows over time how that fund balance has been increasing, both unassigned as well as the total fund balance. You can see unassigned is the blue, which is your 199 essentially. The board has discretion on how to spend that money. And then the orange is actually the total. And later on, we will go over where we are right now after all the budget amendments that have been approved by the board throughout the year. But first of all, something important that we need to talk about. Back in December 2011, the district did apply for a federal maintenance tax note. This one was the qualified school construction bond, and it was 16.4 million. The interest rate was low interest rate, 4.66%, and it was utilized for energy savings, conservation type projects. Right now, the total payoff is 16.869 million. The way this fund was set up is that the annual payment that we had to pay every year was set aside within our fund balance in a restricted account. So those 16.8 million have accumulated as of February. This February will be the payoff amount. So consequently, what you're gonna see at year end, that orange bar is gonna go down as we pay off that debt. So nothing bad, it's just we're paying off debt, but you will see that the total fund balance will decrease by that 16.8.
Is this maturing? I mean,
Yes, sir.
Are we obligated to pay it off at the time?
It is maturing this February.
The only reason I asked, I was gonna ask if it would have made sense to keep it in the fund balances.
No, because
We make more on investments than we do on interest payments.
we have been investing it, as a matter of fact, which is one of the reasons why we've paid little to no interest rate on these qualified school construction bonds. However, at this time, we do have to pay it off because it's already matured. So you will see that at the end of this year's audit. And now, moving on to the current fiscal year, and just want to remind you that in June, the board did approve this budget, and it was 265 million in total revenues and a fund balance. We did have a contribution, relatively small, of 594,000 from fund balance for that. In addition to that, we had debt service fund of 13.9 million. And then we had a small amount of 1.5 million in leftover in our maintenance tax note. And that was for some construction projects. And like I said, that should finish out this year. And then on the right-hand side, you see the same information, however, it's sorted by the functional code. And this is how our district is funded. We have local revenues make up 33% of our revenues, state is 50%, and federal revenues is 21%.
Ms. Garcia, a
Yes.
quick question on that prior slide. The information in the bullet points and the information in the pie chart differ in the federal percentage. Could you clarify?
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, one ahead from what you're looking at. There you go.
Oh, yes. That must be a typo on the.
On the bullets,
on
right?
One of the bullets.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
Should be
a typo.
16? Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Thank you for catching that. Now we have an update on where we are right now as of the third 6 weeks. So first of all, we started the year with a budget of 148 million in expected revenue from the state. This is our state revenue. We've recalculated since based on the third 6 weeks ADA, And we are now projecting a decrease in state revenue for a total of 146.9 million. The decrease is 1.4 million. And the primary reason for that is that when we developed the budget, we were using the April preliminary values for our property taxes. And then since then, in July, the certified values came out. And so we have more accurate numbers. So what happens when property values increase, the inverse happens with state revenue. It goes down. So it did go down. We did have an increase in certain programs, like for example, we had a $2 million increase in special ed. And then we also had, I believe it was a $500,000 increase in transportation. And those programs will benefit from those increases, but overall, it netted to a $1.4 million decrease. Now, if you look on the right side, that is our property taxes. And remember, I told you that certified values came in higher than what was anticipated in the preliminary figures. Well, local tax collections increased by 5.18 million, and netting out the decrease in state revenue to an actual surplus of 3.729, which is, good news for us. So overall, the increase in the local revenue more than offset the reduction in state aid. So this is as of the third 6 weeks. Every 6 weeks, we will be recalculating it based on average daily attendance, and we will continue to keep you updated on that. Now, on the next slide, you will see the tax rate and local revenue. Our tax rate is 93 cents, 93.22. McAllen ISD has reduced this tax rate over the last 10 years by 22 cents, which is approximately 20% decrease from 10 years ago. Local revenue was budgeted at 84 million, and it's projected at 88 million. Now, what increased was our maintenance and operations, our M&O revenue. What decreased, if you recall, we did decrease the interest and sinking tax rate by 3 cents, a little bit over 3 cents. So interest and sinking did decrease.
And this 88 is,
This one is tax revenue.
right, it's from the previous slide, that's the 5
The
million
previous
increase.
one? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's the 5, but the math doesn't work out quite that way because the projected increase includes the decrease
In the
in
state.
INS as well. So
Okay.
it offsets it. But with INS, we only collect what is owed, so we'll be fine on that. And then the next chart shows where we stand in comparison to our neighbors. As you can see, we're in a very good position. We are the second lowest tax rate in Hidalgo County. And then you see the trend line where it has been decreasing over time. The blue bar on the graph on the right is the maintenance and operations tax, and the orange is the interest and sinking. And then the green line is the total tax rate. So part of the general fund does include the child nutrition program, which is federally funded, and it's a substantial amount. For our projections, we did not see such a great change. We projected $26,739,389, and we are now looking at $26,786,195. And the reason for the increase is because they received a new grant, which is called the Fresh Fruit and Vegetable Program. We also are going to share with you how much we get in special funding, and the special revenue funds, those don't come to the board. We get about 33 million is what we're projecting and receiving this year. So that's additional money that supplements our programs. Investment earnings, we budgeted 5.2 million, and we've recalculated it as of the latest information that we have, and we also met with our financial advisor, and they confirmed that not only are we on target, but it looks like we may earn a little bit more interest than what we had planned on. Now, one thing to consider is that interest rates have been decreasing over time. As you can see, in 2024, we were netting about 7.3 million. Well, we cannot continue to rely on this for, to supplement our budgets, because as interest rates are going down, so is our investment earnings. And you can see there was a time that we were only getting 450,000 in a whole year. So I'm not saying it's gonna get that far, but you will see that line go down. All indications are pointing to that.
And do the investment earnings just go into the unrestricted general fund? Are they reinvested? What happens?
Yeah, they are reinvested. They go back into the fund that it originates from, because we have, each fund is invested separately because they're restricted, so we cannot commingle some of the funds. So we have different categories, and those earnings would go back into that fund and they would get reinvested.
And so if it's from a restricted account, it stays restricted?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The earnings are for that account only. And so this is where we catch you up on our fund balance. What I wanted to show you is this graph. I included it because I wanted you to see that there's 5 different categories within fund balance. And I know we always talk about the unassigned, which is the green. That's the 199. But we also have assigned, which is like carry forwards from a previous year. There are projects that got started in a previous year, but they didn't get completed by June 30th. So then they go into the assigned fund balance, and then we carry them over into the next year. Sometimes administration sets aside some assigned fund balance for a specific project. That's also possible. Committed are when the board decides to set money aside. Like, for example, right now in committed, we have the Quinta money, and that's what's there right now. The restricted are the special programs, the special revenues, and those can only be spent on their own programs. Non-spendables would be like your inventories, like our food service warehouse, our general supply warehouse. So those are the different categories. Now, from unassigned, which is the green, from the green, we have brought to the board some budget amendments totaling $9 million. Half of that has been for the stadium work and the staff retention stipend, the $750 that we're giving out in December. So the majority of that has been from there. We also had some student activities and opportunities for $1.2 million. We had some technology, which included the laptops and the firewall system for $977,000. We had some student programs for $942,000, and then operations support was $735,000. So when we look at the audited fund balance that started off on June 30th at $152 million, we are projecting the total fund balance to be $121 million as of this snapshot point. The unassigned is projected to be 96.7 is what we are projecting when you reduce those 9 million, because we were at 105 million. We are still well above the recommended guidance from TEA that requires that we have at least 75 days of operating expenditures in our fund balance. We are at 139 at this point. Now, this is a snapshot. This is where we are now. Savings can increase it. Additional amendments can decrease it. Changes in our summary of finance template, like the surplus, would increase it. If that does continue to materialize, then that would also increase it. We have some savings in our payroll account right now, because not everybody, we budget 100%, thinking everybody's gonna show up 100% of the times, or vacancies included as well. And those monies are not spent, those savings go back to fund balance. So it can go up or down either way. And then on the right-hand side, we've summarized the assigned, which is the projects that were started in a previous year and will be finished out this year. And the majority of that is technology. We're talking about surveillance systems, intercom systems, marquees, that type of work.
Ms.
Any
Garcia, I have a question, just, you've mentioned a couple of times savings for, let's say, maybe a department, a program, a campus. If there are realized savings for that program, that department, or that campus, are those dollars then available to that program, department, or campus in the year ahead, or is it essentially?
It depends.
Okay,
If it's the restricted funds, they
Yep.
do carry a fund balance, and that's why we have this, this orange section. They go back in there and they're able to draw from it.
Got it.
So that's why you see when we bring the monthly budget amendments, we say, oh, from CTE,
Yep.
they're spending so much, so they can. Campuses cannot carry forward their general operating budget, but they can carry forward their activity fund, activity accounts.
and the activity accounts cover things like fine arts, athletics,
They
student
use it
groups?
for so many different things, you know, it's what they get from fundraisers.
Yep, got it, okay.
Yes, but for their general, like copier, you know, paper, printers
Yep.
and stuff like that, that one, they get an allocation per enrolled student at the beginning of the year, depending on the grade level that the campus is at. And we multiply that times their projected ADA, and that's the budget that they get. For the most part, we have not heard any complaints. However, if there's ever a need, they do reach out to us, and sometimes we do supplement them, but it's rare because they have so many other sources to pull from.
Yeah.
That they're fine. But what happens to that money, if they don't spend it, then it goes back into the general fund. And the same thing happens with transportation,
Yeah.
maintenance and technology and those programs as well. That money goes back into the general fund, and that goes into that fund balance.
Got it, thank you. And where do athletics or other UIL activities fall in the restricted or unrestricted?
Athletics does not have a fund balance. They
Okay.
only receive their annual allotment, they don't spend it,
Yep.
then they don't get to
Lose
keep it.
Okay,
And fine arts is the same way.
okay. And is that a local decision?
It's a local decision.
Thank you.
It's been like that since I've been in McAllen.
Yeah, okay,
Yes.
that's helpful, thank you.
But usually those programs we have to subsidize and pay for it. But they don't make enough to keep the programs running. We always have to put from our general fund to keep, like special education,
Yeah.
fine arts, and athletics are always, we're putting money from the fund balance to keep those programs going.
Could we ask athletics and fine arts, excuse me, if we gave them the authority to carry over funds, are there certain projects that, you know, instead of spending all the money at the end of the year rather than lose it, would they set it aside and do more long-term projects that would make more sense?
Well, they don't carry over because they're always underfunded. They don't have enough.
Exactly, but I'm saying, you know, rather than face the situation where you have to buy, you know, spend $300,000 or lose it, or save that $300,000 to carry over next year,
Oh,
you know, to double,
Okay.
to use it, you know, $600,000 to buy more equipment. I mean, would that make sense?
well, it would stay within the athletic department. They could keep it for something else, as
Yeah.
long as it stays within that department, yeah. Okay.
What do they generally do if they have like $300,000 and it's coming up to end of year, and what do they spend it on? Does anybody know? Just curious, like, we don't want to lose it.
The departments,
Yeah.
we actually give them a cutoff deadline. We cut them off in
March.
But
March.
let's say they have $300,000, what do they generally spend it on?
Well, they're supposed to be spending it on needs, on district needs, things for, like, for example, it depends on the program.
I'm curious, I mean, it's not, I don't need an answer, but that's
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
like, do you know what I mean? If
Yeah,
they're
maybe
gonna-
allowing them, I mean, I don't know if it makes sense or not, but allowing, you know, athletics or finance to be able to bank or carry over funds might allow them to make more strategic investments rather than use it or lose it type mentality.
The issue is they don't, I guarantee you, they do not spend more than
They're
what's
never in that
necessary.
situation.
No,
They're not in
yeah.
that situation,
They're
because
not.
I'm gonna tell you, what happens is in the spring and the beginning of the summer, they have to purchase for what's coming up at the beginning of the year, because they have such long lead times in uniforms, equipment, and so forth. For all the sports that begin early in the fall, they have to order way in the year before. So that's what they're doing with their money at that time.
Usually what they do is they ask us for more money
Yeah.
to finish the year.
Well, no, we just
Yeah.
approve. I don't
We
know
just
how-
approve
for-
their amendments,
For, some band equipment,
right.
for uniforms.
Right. It always ends up before.
Travel.
We have to. do-
Travel, they're always low on travel money. That's one. One thing that we did do this year, that was kind of clever on Mr. Barnhart's part, and I'll give him kudos there because he increased his rates. Because remember that I had told you in a previous board meeting that the rates that we were charging was like $20 for like an in-town trip. So it didn't even pay for the bus driver. So he increased it to $100. Well, so now, instead of taking the money from, transportation, we're taking it away from fine arts and athletics. Well, he ran a study on the miles that were driven. They went down 20%. And it's not that they're not going anywhere, it's that they got smarter on how to schedule those buses. They're combining buses and so forth because they don't want to pay the $100. So we're actually trying to figure out ways how to be more efficient with the money that we do have. And so on the next slide,
Sorry, can I go to the
Yes, sir.
strategic use of funds?
yes,
So our available fund balance on 6/30/25 was 152. If you subtract that, the 12.3 used from the current year and the 16.8 pay off the debt, there's still like a delta of like 1.7 million on the projected fund balance for June of this year.
okay.
Am I doing the math right, or is that where that calculation
Yeah,
comes
that's
from?
the state spending, so there were some.
Oh, the 1.7 is the
Yeah, it's
decrease in
right.
state
It's,
spending?
It's what the special, good evening.
Oh,
Hey,
yes,
how you doing?
the restricted.
Yeah, that was like CTE, special ed, they came throughout the year to ask for a few funds, but those were restricted funds.
Right, but like, I'm looking at the available fund balance as of June 25, and that's 152.2. So if you subtract from that 150, I'm trying to get to the 121 projected fund balance of this year. If you take the 152, subtract the 12.3 of restricted, unrestricted fund balance used this year, minus, on top of that, the 16.8 of the debt we're paying off, there's still delta between the 152 and the 121 of 1.7.
Yeah, so it should be $3,296,127 in the assigned fund balance. $9,011,106 in the unassigned fund balance. $1,628,185 in the restricted state fund balances, which I think is what you're referring to, Mr. Haddad. And then on the maintenance tax note, it's $16,869,101 for a total of $30,804,519.
And we did not break that one down into the categories for you. That one's not up on that screen.
Okay.
Yeah,
But we can definitely provide the breakdown if needed.
yeah, we do have a breakdown if you'd like to see.
Yeah,
it.
that would be helpful. Okay.
Okay, we'll send it to the board. Okay, so, thank you, Hood. On the self-funded health insurance update, we had brought to the board some recommendations on changes where we received approval to go from multiple tier type health plan to a single tier health plan. All of the employees are now on the basic plan, the ones that have signed up. In addition to that, we added a co-insurance on the GLP ones of 30%.
I thought we had done 20%.
20%, I'm sorry about that, 20%, yes. And what we are presenting here on this chart is the same information that we had brought forward to you. However, the only difference is that the expenditures increased, and the reason for that is because we saw about a $2 million increase in high-cost claimants. So for 2024, we had 21 high-cost claimants. For 2025, up to the latest information, is 38. In terms of cost, it was 2.8 million for 2024, and for 2025, we're at 4.8 million. So we did increase in expenditures. The other thing that you note is that we just started those changes, that they were just implemented in January. So as of right now, we have very little data to compare. So we're gonna monitor it month to month as those savings come in, and then we will provide a more clearer picture in our future budget workshops.
Can we get a breakdown of the health plan, where all the funds are going? Because you're talking about high-cost claimants, is that, you know, medication, accidents, you
Well,
know?
that would be somebody that's covered in the plan that is ill of a catastrophic illness. It could be a dependent, or it could be an employee.
Yeah, but can we get a breakdown of, to kind of understand where,
Absolutely. Hi, good evening, Karina Perez, Risk Management Coordinator. So the majority of our expenses for the high-cost claimants is 8 employees, 7 employees, 1 dependent, and those are the ones that are eating up the majority of the plan, and most of them are for terminal illnesses. So it's
like
any
chronic,
services.
chronic disease?
Yes.
And is it mostly inpatient stays, is it mostly medication?
No, it's not medication, it's completely medical expenses. So it would be hospital stays, hospital treatments, surgeries.
And then mostly it's chronic disease, it's not, you know, one-time catastrophic accident or?
No, unfortunately, no. They
And what
are
strategies can
required.
we implement to help our employees manage those so they're not constantly in the hospital?
Yes, absolutely. So what we started this month is we are promoting a United Healthcare Wellness Program. Employees have been incentivized to generate up to $300 for things that they should be doing, you know, getting their preventative, getting their mammo, getting cancer screenings, things of that sort. So hopefully with that, we bring not only education, but awareness for them to start looking into their health a little bit more closer and try to prevent these illnesses in the long run.
But I think there's a lot more that we can do. Last time, unfortunately, we had to look at options to reduce, I guess, not benefits, because we cover the same things, but increase co-pays and reduce premiums, but we increased out-of-pocket costs for our employees in order to reduce costs on the plan. But we didn't really do anything to mitigate what we're paying out for hospital care, for medications. Well, I guess the GLP-1, but that was really on the employee side,
And
not on the.
third-party, switching third-party administrators,
Yeah,
that was another change.
yeah.
We-
But
we
I would
do-
like to see what we're doing, you know, whether it's direct contracting or, you know, curative. I don't know if you've heard of them. I mean, they're out there, they're offering their employees or their plans, no co-pays, no co-insurance, no deductible, but they have to, employees have to engage in, like you
Right.
said, wellness plans.
Right.
They also take all the risk on themselves. I think Hidalgo County is doing it, the city of FAR is doing it, some local businesses. So I think there's a lot of options. I mean, it would take us from a self-funded plan into a different model, but there's a lot of ways to look at it. I mean, if we're looking at another $2.3 million, that's money we're putting from our fund balance that we could be going towards educating students, towards teacher pay raise.
Right, right, absolutely. And those are some cost containment strategies that we've been discussing with our benefits consultant. So we are looking into direct contracting with, you know, urgent care facilities, possibly a hospital, things of that sort. So we'll have more information for you on the next budget.
Great, thank you.
Thank you, Karina. And now moving on to enrollment and attendance. Our student enrollment as a snapshot was 19,435 with average daily attendance of 17,709. Our attendance rate is 94.79%. We are improving these numbers on attendance, especially with the optional flexible school day program. I did update the slide with the most current information. We started off the year a little bit slow. We were up on the third 6 weeks, we were at 131 ADA with OFSDP. And right now, we don't have the ADA calculation for you because we have not been closed out the fourth 6 weeks, but once we do, we hope to see a huge jump because now we have 2,313 students on OFSDP and it's growing. And we do get $43 per student for each day that they are in attendance. Last year, we earned about 1.8 million in funding with OFSDP. For additional day school year, that one is a program that breaks even. We have held 10 days of ADSE. Total students in attendance was 1,270. And we are projecting to earn about 280,000. And this is a chart that shows that attendance has been increasing over time, and enrollment are the green bar is attendance. The green line, I'm sorry, is attendance. And as you can see, it has been improving each year since COVID. And then just to put it into perspective, attendance matters because we do rely on that for our funding and our enrollment. It translates to resources. So if each student is out at least 2 days, then that translates to 1.68 million in lost revenues, which is about 26 teaching positions. And now moving on to next year. As we plan right now, the information is very preliminary. As you saw even from last year, how things have changed since we first approved the budget. But we are planning on 400 less students in enrollment, just so that we can budget conservatively, because of course that's the drop that we had now, but which thankfully we had already included that in our projections. So when we run the template with those numbers, we get a $4.4 million decrease in state revenue. We are projecting a 3.2 increase in property value growth. We will not have the preliminary numbers until April, and then in July we would get the certified values. And then the actual tax rate, the maximum compressed tax rate is given to us by TEA in August. And then in September, we would bring the tax rate for adoption by the board. I know that y'all have heard about the education savings account. Right now, it's not a huge impact to the district because only about 100,000 applications will be approved this year. However, in the future, as more state funding is placed into the program and more applicants are allowed to be approved, it would possibly impact the district. So what we calculated, if just the 1% of our students were to transition into an ESSA program, that would be a loss of 1.4 million. 3% would be a loss of 4.2 million, and 5% would be a loss of 7 million. And the way we calculated this is by taking our state funding and dividing it by our average daily attendance. So we're already taking into account the attendance, and that's about 7,800 per student.
I have a question on this. Dr. Gutierrez, the way that I understand the educational savings accounts to be structured is that school districts could be a recipient of these funds, as could individual teachers. Have you contemplated applying to be a recipient of these funds for, let's say, a homeschool student that wants to take an advanced science course, or a private school student that wants to take an advanced math course that is not currently offered at the institution they may be at, for us to recapture some of these funds?
The only one that I've heard about, I haven't heard on those advanced ones. I've heard on the special education, that those are the ones that we could qualify for.
Okay.
And the only thing is that we don't know who are going to be the students yet, because there's 100,000 kids that qualified statewide. There's over 5 million kids in the state.
Sure.
Only 100,000 would qualify.
For the first year.
For the first year,
Right.
yeah. So we don't even know if there's going to be an impact in our area alone, when there's only 100,000 kids throughout the state out of the 5 million that would be eligible for the ESA.
Okay.
And so, not at this point, but it's definitely something that we can look at as a district, that we could be recipients of some of that educational savings account. if we can provide either services on the advanced side or the special ed.
Yeah,
The
because we already
special-
kind of do that, right, with the, let's say, the regional school program for the
Correct.
deaf. We
Right.
collect the funds for kids that are zoned to other districts.
Yes,
And for homeschool students that need a special education evaluation, they can come to us and get that evaluation and we receive some funding for that, right?
that's correct.
Okay.
That's correct. But it would be interesting to see how many in South Texas would qualify out of those 100,000.
Yep.
Because it's a very small number when you look at it statewide.
Yeah.
But we'll see how this, it's gonna, how it continues to grow, but definitely we would want to be available to help students and be able to get some of those savings accounts into the district.
Yep, thank you.
Is there a deadline?
They opened up the application process in last couple of weeks. I don't know when is the deadline, but they're applying already for those savings accounts. My understanding, over 100,000 families already applied for it throughout the state.
The major cost drivers that will impact our budget is, of course, number one is payroll costs, which is 226 million. That's 73% of the total budget. The second one is instruction, which is about 60%, and it's 175 million. So those are just, the main things that we spend our money on. Staffing, this comes from the TASB report. It's data that we submitted to TASB, and they produced a report for us. We will be bringing that report to you at the second budget workshop. But for now, this is a summary of the staff. As you can see, teachers did go up did go down 61 employees, but that's because we had the changes. We had to move some people from the teacher scale. We had the librarians was one of them, and the instructional coaches was another position that got moved. And you can see that they went into the administrative education pay grade, and you see that 62 showing there at the bottom. The area where we have increased truly is in the instructional support. And those are teacher aides, and almost, probably like 99% of those are special education. And then compensation considerations. Right now, we're not asking for any decisions on this, but we did, just for your knowledge, brought forth several scenarios for a possible increase or a no increase. The very first one is a no increase, and what it does have a cost is for targeted adjustments, like, for example, moving the scales forward, and then, some adjustments to certain positions. And we will cover all that in the second workshop. Then we have a 1% with adjustments, 2% with adjustments, 2.5% with adjustments, and 3% with adjustments.
On that, whenever you guys bring it to the board, can you provide the board with some information about like market comparisons across the district, so that when we go into that budget meeting, we know exactly what we're competing with, so that we can be competitive as a district, so that we can retain our staff? Thank you.
Yes.
Unfortunately, we approve first, and then most of the districts approve after. So we're always behind.
So that'll be part of the presentation that we'll bring.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
As it relates to auxiliary staff, does that include our bus drivers? Is it everybody that's hourly?
Yes.
Okay, so that, the chart has them under percentages, but last year, I think we did a 75-cent across.
Yeah, we did.
So could we also see options, rather than the percentage, which really doesn't affect those people very beneficially? I would like to see us look at $1 or upwards.
Okay. We can
Just
ask for that.
options.
Yes, ma'am.
And then, I guess under the compensation, it would also, I'm sure going to be talking about the stipends and whatnot that we do,
Yes.
but part of those include, like, I think I don't know if fine arts is considered a year-round or how we calculate that stipend, but I know, for instance, the cheer teams or those coaches are only seasonal. So I'd like to see which ones are seasonal and then kind of how we decide which ones are seasonal and which are not, so that we can be fair across the board on all of those. For not only sports, but also fine arts, or
You're
anybody
asking
that
like
gets a
for year
stipend.
round, like tennis,
Yes.
Okay,
stuff like that?
yes, ma'am, we'll look at that.
Can we also see a comparison on school counselors with other districts too? Because they,
Absolutely.
yeah,
I think librarians.
and librarians.
And how, because there were certain populations that were not able to benefit from the teacher incentive allotment. So I know like the nurses, librarians were not included in that, right?
Counselors.
Counselors, so all of those, so that we can try to do what we can to make up for that.
The instructional coaches.
Yes. Mm.
Okay. So key takeaways from this presentation is, number one, we're in a very good position. Our district has a very healthy fund balance. We are definitely not closing any schools, so thank God for that. We are not cutting any programs, and we don't have any plans for laying off any employees in the future either. So we're in a very good place right now. And that concludes my presentation. I just wanted to give you an update of where we're at, and then we will do a deeper dive into these subject matters as the time goes on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Any comments by the board?
No, thank you. I know it's not easy and a lot of hard decisions, so I appreciate everything y'all do.
Yeah, one question, definitely not for tonight, maybe it's coming up based on the timeline that was shared on the outset. I'm interested to know how the variability in performance that we're seeing in academic outcomes at particular grade levels, particular subjects, and across individual campuses will be taken into account when considering where to allocate resources. I understand that we run a large system and we should strive to be, as across the board as possible. But given some of those variabilities that we see, I think it would be interesting for us to also consider the places where it makes additional importance for stronger investments in line with what students need.
And usually we have those through our state compensatory, our Title I funds, so we can maybe include those,
Yes.
those amounts that they get as far as the population that each of the school serves, because they have different populations.
Yeah.
And so those that have Title I, they get more, or at risk, state compensatory, they get compensated more based on the population they have.
Yeah, but that's just based on enrollment, right? But then we have some campuses that have very high enrollment of students on free and reduced meals with like very high A's, and other schools with lower number of students with free and reduced meals with even lower performance. So even within the state compensatory education allotments, which is set by the state and we don't really have control over,
Right.
there's pretty significant variability in the performance of our schools. That would lead me to think we should be smart about where we're allocating our resources in service of those students at those particular campuses.
Okay.
I agree.
I think you're talking about staffing and extra support for
Yeah, for
students.
certain
or
schools.
Campus,
campus.
Yeah,
campus
uh-huh.
students,
Yeah,
per
Yeah.
need, per campus.
Right.
yeah,
I would
but
agree.
I wouldn't limit it just to the campus level because we also saw declining performance in a couple key areas in terms of end-of-year STAR outcomes, with some declines in a couple key areas between 23-24 and 24-25. High school English, for example, was one where we saw a decline in performance. I'd want to know, what are we doing differently to get a different result?
Okay.
And I think if we do go looking into all that, I think it's important to get a survey too from teachers who are teaching those subjects, because they might have a lot of thoughts on what they need and ways that we can respond to some of their needs.
I think Trustee Carrion has a very good point. And I agree wholeheartedly to look at options in that respect.
As we navigate through this budget, we're probably gonna be more of a deficit than balanced. So we're just gonna have to decide how far of a deficit do we wanna go. I see that we're not gonna be a balanced budget, other than we're gonna have to go into fund balance to balance the budget. It's just, those are the discussions we're gonna have for the next couple of months, to see how far we wanna go into the fund balance to approve this budget, because it's pretty much statewide. I don't know if you're reading already a lot of the issues that are going on throughout the state with the funding with school districts. So in our case, we have a very, very healthy fund balance, but we're gonna have to dip into fund balance to probably balance this budget. We want to include raises and some other things that we're talking about tonight.
Mm-hmm.
But we'll go over all those items and see how far we want to go with it in the next coming months.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, guys. I think that the
everybody.
strength of the financial position that we're in, I know there's challenges that lie ahead for us as a board, but we got a very great board here, and I know that the financial situation that we're in here is gonna give us the strength that we need to move forward, so, looks promising, and I'm excited for the rest of the meetings. Alrighty, that being said, 6:21, motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? All right. We are adjourned at 6:22. Thank you, guys.